Welcome to the Daily Agenda. Tonight's podcast is about what does Rupert Lowe really think on immigration? Because they say one thing in public, don't they? But behind closed doors, they say other things or something else. And it leaves everyone with no sense of clarity at all. Of course, his fawning groupies are not going to like this video, which was shot covertly whilst he was still in Reform UK. Now, some people will say, he was only towing the Reform UK line. On the contrary, his policy hasn't changed in the slightest since he left Reform UK and formed Restore Britain. He's still in the net negative immigration fantasy. And that's exactly what it is, because net negative means absolutely nothing at all. It means quite simply that nothing changes, and that the immigrant population, which has more children than the white population, will just eventually outbreed us and will become a minority anyway. So we can see at every single angle, every single twist and turn that the centre-right makes, that they have absolutely no solution to the demographics issue, because demographics is destiny. And this was one of the principal arguments of the British National Party for decades. Demographics is destiny. What is it about that very simple equation they don't understand? So let's go and take a look at Chris Mitchell's covert recording. And before you watch it, I'd just like to make it perfectly clear that Chris was actually ejected from the meeting for filming this clip that's coming right now, which begs the question, do any of them actually believe in freedom of expression? Because when they're put to the test on freedom of expression, it's not just fake Farage who has people expelled from the party or kicked out of meetings, it's also Rupert Lowe. And Rupert did and said absolutely nothing about Chris's expulsion from the meeting. So here we go. Let's have a look.
Can I ask you one question? What do you think this country's percentage of white? Yeah, I know people might frown upon this, but English people are white. Yeah, so what percentage, in your opinion, should England be in terms of white English? So at the moment, we're about 83%.
We're still hugely in the majority.
Yeah. But obviously, like I'm from Birmingham. I went from 95% in 1991, and now we're like 45. We are now 45% in our.
Birmingham's in bad shape. London's in bad shape.
Yeah.
You say, but this is history. What we mustn't do is just what Labour are in danger of doing is just opening the doors and letting everyone who's come here illegally in. Because as you know, some of them throw their passports into the sea.
I agree.
Most of them are young men of sort of fighting age. So I'm quite clear, and I say it publicly on Twitter, those who come here illegally should be deported. We have the right
but
to do
if
that.
we deport all illegals right now, I'm still a minority in Birmingham.
Well, illegals should be deported. Legal migrants is much more difficult.
Yeah, but if we deport all illegals right now from Birmingham, I'm still a minority in my own city.
So we're quite clear, and Reform will deal with that. The problem is
how will you deal with that?
The government doesn't have the will to do it, and they seem to think that bringing people into the country improves the economy. It might increase the size of the economy, but it reduces the GDP per capita. So actually, we're all poorer because they're not adding to what we're all doing.
Okay.
So I think we're on it, but again, we can talk about it as much as we want. Till we've got power.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a private event.
Till we've got power.
Yeah, no.
Please not record, please.
And so you'd be totally within your rights to ask why Chris Mitchell was ejected from that meeting. There is only one real answer, is there not? That's because, Rupert Lowe and his cronies in Reform, as it was at that time, and some of them have actually joined him in Restore Britain, don't like embarrassing questions. You see, he rants on about stop the boat, stop the boat, stop the boat, stop the boats. In other words, we must deal with the illegals and deport them. But when Chris put him on the spot about the Balkanisation of British cities, particularly his native city, Birmingham, in which he is now a minority, thus trashing the entire lie of the diversity delusion and multiculturalism, that it was simply about bringing these people here to integrate them and they would never become a majority and whites would never be a minority. We all knew that was the objective from the outset. Some people argue straight away, clergy. Absolutely right. In fact, quite a few of the UKIP people used to argue clergy at one time, but they've just dropped it completely now. I wonder why that is. Is it something to do with that centre-left clown, Nick Tanconi, who's taken over there, who rants endlessly about ethno-nationalism, around the clock, in actual fact? When he's not saying, deport, 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 Jesus loves you. One of the creepiest individuals ever to step foot in centre-right politics. Even creepier than Nick Griffin and Jim Dowson, and my goodness, that takes some doing, does it not? Surely. But anyway, he has achieved something, at least. Not much, but he's achieved that. So, in truth, Rupert said, oh yeah, we're going to sort that out as well. Going to sort what out? How would Reform UK sort out the Balkanisation of British cities when all it has is a net negative, or net zero, as they call it? They're just playing with words, all of these centre-right clowns. So one calls it net zero, the other one calls it net negative, and no one's any wiser. Everyone seems to think that, oh, yes, Nigel and Rupert, they're our saviours. They've come to save us by offering us net negative and net zero. They're offering you absolutely nothing other than the same. The only thing they want to change, ostensibly at least, is illegal immigration, because the optics of it are absolutely atrocious, are they not? But the real problem is legal immigration at over 1 million a year. And I've said this repeatedly, and I'll say it again. Legal immigration is entirely responsible for the balkanisation of our cities. Illegal immigration played no part in that balkanisation whatsoever. Chris Mitchell is now in a minority in Birmingham because of legal immigration. The issue is immigration, full stop. It's not just legal or illegal. We're just playing with words. It's semantics, really, is it not? You know, and it's not helping anyone, and it's certainly not going to save this country. So when these fools say, I want my country back, well, how on earth are they going to get their country back when they will not support mass remigration and a white supermajority? Because Rupert Lowe has been put on the spot repeatedly and asked if he would support a white supermajority. He won't. He will not support mass remigration. He just says mass deportations. But mass deportations simply means illegal immigrants. And so we have fake Farage recently doing yet another massive U-turn. I'm sure everyone by now has lost count of the number of U-turns Nigel's done, because he's done more than a driving instructor. A driving instructor about to retire, that is. Absolutely. Now he's talking about 600,000 deportations. It would never happen. Never happen. You'd be lucky if in a 5-year stretch under Reform UK, they'd actually deport 60,000, and they'd even claim that was a victory, a triumph, and then ask the lemmings to re-elect them. You see, we are well and truly up against it, and it's legal immigration that is killing this country, totally and utterly destroying this country. It's not doing anything good for us at all. We don't need it, and the majority don't want it either. The problem is mobilising that majority, particularly when we have this great smokescreen set in front of us called the centre-right. All controlled by the Chosenites, you know, and we all know who we're talking about when we mention the Chosenites, don't we? So as I mentioned last night, in the book Patriot Games, I make it perfectly clear there, with very detailed statistics, facts and figures. Get the book, go and check them out. It speaks for itself. There's nothing there that's inaccurate, nothing that's wrong, nothing that can be disproved, I absolutely assure you. It's been researched thoroughly. And immigration actually costs the economy 14% more a year than what it actually generates for the economy. So there's no economic benefit from it at all. It simply costs us more. And even if you reduced or stopped the boats, the illegal invaders coming in, that would only probably go down to about 10 or 9%. possibly 10%. So we'd still be running at a 10% deficit economically in terms of legal immigration. So there is no benefit to Britain at all from legal immigration. There is no benefit to the British people at all from immigration of any description. It is quite simply just replacement migration, or what Camus calls the Great Replacement, or others call it the clergy agenda. We call it quite simply diversity, what it truly is. Diversity is actually created by mass immigration. It needs mass immigration, continue it, and diversity is quite simply ethnic replacement. Removing white people as a majority in their own nations to ensure that eventually they're just completely and utterly bred out of existence. That is the truth about mass immigration. Anyone who thinks it's not is just living in a dream world. And that includes everyone supporting Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, Tommy Robinson and Ben Habib. Okay? So we've seen there in that clip that Rupert is actually very evasive on immigration. And when somebody puts him on the spot, and that with a covert recording, remember this is a covert recording, Rupert didn't know he was being recorded, yeah? It's covert, it's secret, and that's when the truth usually slips out. So, what we saw was that Rupert was evasive, and all he's interested in is stop the boat, stop the boat, stop the boats, because it's a catchy little tune, isn't it? A catchy little soundbite, which will bring in the lemmings, because the lemmings basically, in my opinion, millions of them, have simply lost the capacity to reason and perceive and ask questions, particularly to ask questions. And that's one of the things I'm doing on this channel, is encouraging people to ask questions, particularly of the fake, false centre-right. It's a combined safety valve operation. And all that net negative and net zero does is maintain the immigration racket. Doesn't change it in any way, shape or form. Tinkering with a few bad optics, i.e. illegal invaders coming across the channel in dinghies, is neither here nor there. It just looks good. And it satisfies the public for a while. It satiates their lust for something to be done. But in real terms, it achieves absolutely nothing at all. And anyone who thinks that Elon Musk has got a solution for Britain, well, Elon Musk actually demanded more Indian migrants be let into the United States and the visa system relaxed to accommodate them. So, you know, when he waffles on about whites becoming a minority, it's because people like Elon Musk are actually making white people a minority in their own countries, because Elon Musk is just another puppet of the Chosenites. And that's the common denominator with all of them. Check all of these centre-right politicians and all of their clown act groupies, and you can trace them all back to the Chosenites. Why is that? Ask yourself that question. Why is that? Well, go and buy a copy of my new book, Patriot Games, and you'll find out exactly why that is. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Agenda. See you tomorrow night.